Yeah, so I was just saying I came from like the Meiji Jingu Gainmai uh ginkgo tree illumination
Mm.
thing. They basically have a street where
Yeah,
they have these like ginkgo trees lit up, right? The yellow, I don't know, like what they're just very yellow basically, right? They're uniformly yellow. Feel like it's kind of crap tree to be honest, but it's there, it's illuminated, it's fall. Tons of people, right? Like this is a pretty classic, I guess, autumn sightseeing thing in Tokyo. Um, but like everyone's just like on their phone, right?
you're just like filming it, or
Yeah, just taking selfies, taking photos of each other. Like it's a weird atmosphere, I guess, in that there's so many people, but like everyone's just on
everyone's
their
in their
phone,
own little
right?
world, right? Yeah,
I don't know. Was it like that 10 years ago? We were kind of talking about the social
well,
landscape in Tokyo. I was gonna say like it nowadays it doesn't seem particularly like um, open, I guess. But
yeah.
then I was thinking like, was it ever?
Well, it was. People were definitely. I mean,
Were they looking
they're still in.
around?
They were
Were
looking
they?
around, but they're still quite in their own headspace. I want to say. I mean, they maybe weren't filming things as much as they would be now. But there was still kind of that self-contained feeling. Well, people had like normal, just like cameras, right?
Hmm,
Like people would be taking like, I don't know, non-digital photos
right.
and trying to frame things and set that up too.
That's at least I know. Yeah,
But I mean,
different from the Black Mirror of the smartphone, right?
but people were making the same argument back then. They're like, oh,
Yeah.
they're not really seeing things. They're just photographing them with like
Mm,
an actual camera.
yeah.
So they're saying like even the photography is destroying the, I don't know, immediacy
So do you think it's just
or
all
something.
cyclical, kind of
A little
circumstantial
bit. I mean,
bullshit?
like presumably in the 100 years ago, if you like visited some site, I mean, you could maybe like sketch it, but you couldn't really like record it
Hmm.
in any way. So there might have been a bit of a difference there, but I don't know if it's. Oh, I think certainly with like music. I mean, people like bringing phones to like live shows or like
Yeah, it takes you out of
clubs and
it.
stuff. I mean, it's very. I think that totally. I think that really kind of makes it. There's no point there
Yeah.
because like at that point it's just like, well, then just watch it at home.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, what's
yeah.
the point of even going out?
Our friend down in Fukuoka
Mm,
posted a story recently. He was
mm,
at some like live rap show.
mm.
Looked like a small venue, but like the Insta story is just like four phones in front of him, like blocking the view, basically.
It's
So it's
just weird, man.
just
Yeah, it's. I mean, I wouldn't like. I feel like I mostly lost most of my interest in live music by the time I was about 30. But um, yeah, just going to something and imagining people are just like filming it the whole. I mean, sort of
yeah.
makes me want to just stay home and watch it.
That
But
was kind of the nice thing about Labyrinth, the
mm,
techno
yeah,
festival. Like I don't know if it was a rule, but
or were they like blocking, banning phones or something?
basically,
Or
basically no phones on the dance floor. And
mm,
you know, people did, but you
yeah.
didn't have the sea of
You didn't have like the
phones.
wall of phones or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah,
like it seemed kind of self regulating,
yeah,
which was nice.
yeah.
But yeah, anyway, we don't necessarily need to linger on the
They're
ginkgo
saying that
social scene.
people are people are seeking sexual partners more from apps rather than
Right.
direct real life
Yeah.
encounters or social, even real life, I guess, social circle maybe.
It is so nefarious how, like, you pointed this out earlier this year, I think, but just in media, in newspaper articles,
mm,
they'll casually mention Tinder as if that's just the default way everyone's meeting,
yeah,
like, potential romantic interests
yeah,
now.
yeah.
Like, it's crazy how that shift happened, right? I feel like, 2005, like, OkCupid was like a joke. Like
Yeah,
the idea of meeting someone online was
it was
was like
certainly it was
too
certainly like
old.
it was certainly a joke in like the 90s and 80s because like as weird as it sounds, like they did have like computer dating
Yeah.
databases in like the 1980s.
Yeah.
But it was it was literally, yeah, I mean, it was just considered, yeah, like really a joke,
Yeah.
where you had to be like some socially awkward
Yeah.
scientist, or like some,
Right.
I don't know, just someone that, I mean, it was very much like in novelty territory, where like if you did that, I was watching some movie from the 90s. I think it was some Stephen King adaptation, The Langoliers or something, and I think there was something like that where one of the characters is like, you know, it's a woman, right? And like a woman character, and she's like on this plane to go to another city to meet someone that she like met that way, and she's like trying to keep it like a secret
From her family, basically.
Yeah,
from everyone,
from everyone, because
Right.
it's like considered, you know, like socially kind of weird.
Right.
It's like, oh, you're meeting someone you met on like through a, I don't know, computer or something, right? Like, so
Right.
it's seen as this like weird fringe thing that would be like way out there, right? So yeah, that's kind of how it was seen. Like it existed, but it certainly wasn't like a normal way to like
Right.
meet a partner or someone, or
Yeah, well, they had to have those like testimonial videos where it's like, oh, we met through OkCupid 5 years ago, and it's been, you know, we have all these things in common, and it's been so like,
try to like normalize it, right?
Yeah.
Or try to make it normal.
But now it's just completely normal.
It's already normalized.
Right?
Yeah. Well, it gets into weird. It gets into these like weird neoliberal areas too, where I think like the assumption that it is now normal creates like weird shadows, because then it's like, if that's normal, then by implication, like meeting people in other ways is then not normal.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that like, to me, that's the thing that interests me more, is that like, by extension of that logic, then everything else becomes not normal. And it's like, well, wait, then so like, what's not normal now?
Right.
You know, like meeting people at, you know, live music, or meeting people on the street, or like meeting people through other means, presumably is not the mainstream now.
Yeah.
Which again is a really recent and kind of strange situation, I guess. To be in.
Yeah, it's bizarre, but it probably won't go back, right? I mean, people are going to be meeting each other in the metaverse next, right?
Yeah, it's the metaverse, but hasn't that already crashed or whatever? I thought.
It'll be back. I think.
It'll be back.
Yeah. But yeah, that did kind of fail to launch, I suppose, right? It's been kind of, I don't know. Like, did you ever play a Second Life?
No. Yeah. I was never much of a PC gamer. I mean, I played a few things, but I was never sitting there with like Sims or something or whatever.
Yeah. But Second Life was kind of arguably, you know, already the metaverse in like 2000 and I don't know, 6 or something, right? It's been, I wonder if it's still even up. But
it's probably still around. I mean, a lot of those things are still running on ancient servers or whatever. Yeah.
It is kind of cool that it was around, because it's like open world, user designed, like clothing and accessories created by
that's pretty cool,
users, and the buildings designed by users, right?
I think that's one of those things that like I think is like really cool in theory.
Yeah.
But like I would probably never personally like actually spend much time. Like I think it's like a cool idea, but I don't know if I would actually like spend much time actually playing it or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think I already shared this with you, but like one of the Second Life's competitors was like IMVU.
Okay, yeah.
Did you ever see ads for that?
No, it's not ringing a bell.
So, you know, grade 6 or whatever, miniclip.com, Flash games. Was that ever your world? Flash games?
I played some of those really primitive ones. Like there's
Super Crazy Guitar Maniac Deluxe 2.
God, I can't remember what it was. It was probably even more primitive, like simple Java Flash games. I remember there was some in the late 90s, and there's like Celebrity Slugfest or something where you're like
Vaguely rings a
punching
bell.
out. I don't know.
This is like a Newgrounds thing, right?
Oh, it's so primitive, man. I don't even remember what.
You'd be like boxing George W. Bush or
Yeah,
something.
something like. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just things that are like super primitive,
yeah.
little flash games and stuff
They
was
got
around
like
then.
pretty arcadey. Like I'm remembering randomly now. What was called Stickman Arena, but it
Some of
was like
them,
a
yeah.
top down kind of melee, like stick art melee. But you're basically like you see the map from the top, and you pick your weapon, and it's like multiplayer. So
Okay,
you're
yeah,
like
yeah.
trying to kill people with a sledgehammer.
Sounds like something they would
Yeah.
have back then. Yeah, I mean, just really primitive little
Yeah.
flash games and stuff. Yeah.
But like in grade 6 or whatever, the whole game, I guess, or strategy. Basically, we'd have like the lab periods, like at the school lab,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was
and
the same thing. You
yeah,
just go on a computer and
yeah,
play.
and
There's
you're
like
supposed to be like typing something up, but you're like
just
instead
playing
trying
a
to,
flash game.
yeah,
It's like
exactly.
Snowcraft or something. There's like one where you're like
vaguely.
throwing snowballs or something. There's just again very like simple ideas that would probably be mobile games now. Like
Yeah.
these are like things that would probably be on a mobile game
Yeah.
or something at the moment. But
Yeah. But so IMVU was advertised through Miniclip, and I got into that, and it's kind of like a second life. It's basically like an avatar chat.
Okay, yeah.
Looking for something, or
just my phone, yeah. Just
okay.
there. That had fallen off, but
the feeling of being naked,
when naked, yeah.
Realize
dropped it.
Yeah.
I almost like did lose it last week, so I was like, I just like left it in my house and I went out to something. I was like, oh shit, did I really lose it or my wallet or something? Yeah.
When I was heavy into vaping, I'd get that feeling when I don't have my vape.
And you like lost it or something.
Well, not lost it,
you
like
just felt
even
like
just left it in the other room, and you're like, crap,
Yeah.
where is it?
Where is it?
Yeah. Addiction is the
Addiction.
common the common vein
Addiction.
here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was like a 3D avatar chat thing, IMVU, but not quite open world. But yeah, again, same thing, like user designed clothing, and you'd buy clothes for your avatar and join chat rooms and talk to people, and this is all in the very like ASL era of online messaging.
Like super basic.
Yeah. So I don't really know what people were actually using it for. I don't know if it was just like a proxy for sexting.
They're having like cyber sex or something, or
presumably to some extent. I don't know, but I ended up basically I was there to earn money online. That was my like fixation as a.
Oh, is this the thing where you're like selling items or something?
Exactly.
Like selling,
But like I learned Photoshop in like grade 6 and like learned like 3ds Max, like 3D modeling to like made some very primitive 3D accessories, but I was not great at it. But yeah, IMVU.
Did this scheme work out? Like, were you actually making money?
Yeah, I mean, cumulatively, I probably made like, I don't know, let's say like $500 or something.
Okay, yeah.
Over the course of a few years. But yeah, I mean, you'd sell the products and get credits, and then sell the credits to like a credit seller. It's complicated. But a weird like real world economy.
Well, they sort of had that with like, I remember they had that with like Diablo and some of the other. There's like places you could, even with those kind of like mainstream games, you could like actually just buy items and stuff like that, kind of similar way.
Yeah.
But it's a really weird idea,
right? It's like bannable.
Because it's such a weird idea. It's like presumably the point of playing the game is to like get those things naturally,
right?
Because like otherwise, why would you like? What's the point of the game? Like
to
just flex
dominate,
I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's such a weird.
Well, do you know how like Elon Musk is like supposedly the top ranked Diablo 4 player now?
Is he?
Apparently, yeah. Like, that's what it says on the scoreboard. But the question is like, how is he doing that between running SpaceX and X and I don't know, being in the government now? I guess I don't really know what he's up to.
You would laugh, man. I mean, again, I'm not gonna name names, but just there's a few people I've known over the course of my life, and who are working like really very intellectually demanding professional jobs, at a very high level, right? You know, like legal, corporate finance, legal kind of stuff.
Right.
And I mean, there's a few. There's not like a composite. Well, I guess it is a composite, but I'm talking about a few actual, quite different people here. And yeah, they would come home from like a full day of 12 hours of extremely detail oriented, very high level, white collar kind of stuff.
Right.
And it'd be like 1 a.m. and they'd be sitting there playing like Clash of Clans, or, these like super
Farmville.
yeah, just like incredibly stupid online RPGs.
Right.
For like 2-3 hours at a time.
Right.
And doing some campaign, or like, oh, this dude in Finland is like teaming up with me. And I'm like, what are you doing, man? You're like,
right.
Why are you like wasting any time on this completely pointless
escapism?
I guess, but like, there's gotta be at least like do drugs or something. I'm like, just, you got the money for it. I mean, like, do cocaine or something. Right. I mean, you're playing like an online MMORPG.
Well, that'd be bad for your health,
I guess, man. Yeah, I
but
just
staying up to 2 a.m.
Yeah, well, they like so they dudes would end up getting like 2-3 hours sleep, or under 5 hours sleep, and then go back into the office in the morning.
Yeah,
I just be like, what come on, like,
it's really strange.
It's so strange. It's one of the most amazingly strange things that I feel like. Well, because like I would expect them to be just like, I don't know, buying a Porsche, or like doing drugs, or like having an orgy, like something would be like seemingly worth the effort.
Right.
But you're gonna like play like Farmville or something. Like what? Like I couldn't make any sense of that, and I was like, wow, this is cracked.
Just escapism, low hanging. I guess
that is the thing, because it's like it doesn't seem like you have to put in any super effort or investment.
Right.
It's just something completely pointless. Yeah. So you're not really. Doesn't really matter, I guess, but it still seems like an immense waste of even escapism time.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Yeah. Going back kind of to what you're saying about real world trading, kind of like buying gold or whatever in games,
gold farming.
I did that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You're looking. You want the cool skin, but you don't want to grind for like 60 hours or whatever to get it, right? So
it just seems weird. I mean,
paying $25 is a no brainer.
I guess, man. Yeah. I mean, even when I was a kid, I was like, grinding is kind of the fun point, I guess. Like if you're not even
to a certain point, but I feel like you hit certain parts of the. I mean, no, I was a huge cheater. I mean, my second making money online scheme was writing bots, writing scripts, like automation for games.
Yeah.
So specifically like RuneScape, right? Like you don't want to spend 300 hours clicking on trees to collect logs, so you get the script that does it for you.
Yeah, there's a certain point. I mean, there's even like there's shortcuts like this going way back. Like there's even some. Remember, there's a few notable examples with the Super Famicom or the Super Nintendo where like there'd be like RPGs where there'd be like branching paths, and you could like tape down the button,
right?
And it would just like keep going in a loop, grinding,
right?
Random encounters. So you could just like tape, you could like put like a glass on the controller, like tape down the button, and just leave it on overnight, and you come back and you'd be like level 99 or something, right? Just through.
They got quite complex.
That
was the beginning of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think those kind of like level grinding games are very. I think those are always the least memorable parts, where you're like, okay, you have to like just sit there and put in like 3 hours fighting the same enemies for like 3 straight hours just so you can get up to like it gets a bit ridiculous.
I was pretty into like MMOs, basically MMORPGs. So the one I started writing and selling scripts bots for was RuneScape, but then there's also like Guild Wars, which I enjoyed quite a bit. And compared to that, so Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for game design, to make things engaging
Yeah,
but not grindy,
yeah,
or yeah, like making it so that it's easy to sort of get to the top level, but then there's still like more to do beyond that type of thing.
mm.
And I think Guild Wars was a really good example of that.
Mm,
Don't really want to get too deep into the weeds with it.
mm.
But yeah, compared to WoW, World of Warcraft, which
Yeah,
was just a complete grind fest, and I like tried it and I was like, oh no, this is terrible.
it's
Like
just total time, pointless time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, so like the thing with Guild Wars, basically, just briefly, the combat system was such that you had like 8 skills. Like you
Mm,
had a bar and you could
mm,
pick 8 skills. Like you could pick your loadout,
mm.
and then you like enter the instance and you
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
change skills on the fly.
Mm,
And so this created like you had to make like very tight builds where like
mm,
the skills complement each other and they like enable a certain
mm,
strategy. Um, and like hit the right balance between offense, defense type of thing,
mm.
compared to World of Warcraft where it was just
Spam the highest item or whatever. Or
yeah,
like, yeah.
basically. And like you'd proceed almost like linearly
Mm,
on your like profession
mm.
tree, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if you're a fire mage, then you're a fire
So you
mage,
don't have
and
much decision
you just
decision
unlock
making or
one
something.
skill
Yeah.
after another, and you have access to all of them, and
Mm,
it's just a grind to get to the highest level and get the highest items.
mm.
Um,
I remember
so
even with the older Diablos, there's like some decision making where you'd have to like choose
mm,
which skills to like pump up or whatever.
right.
There
Yeah,
was
like
some there. Yeah.
you made decisions about your build and
Mm.
strategy, which yeah, I know I didn't get very far into World of Warcraft, but my impression was just yeah,
Yeah.
very very bad. But yeah, I know the theory is Elon Musk is like hiring people to like play,
To play for him or
yeah,
something.
and he
Okay.
just
Yeah.
logs on when it's like time to be a
And
boss. Yeah.
presumably he could do
Could,
that. I
yeah.
mean, it's kind of
Why
a
wouldn't
weird
you? I guess.
it's kind of a weird flex. I mean, it's like
Yeah,
okay. I mean, you have like
yeah,
an actual government position and you're worried about Diablo or something. This is kind of a strange
right.
priorities
Yeah,
thing or something. I don't know. But
yeah.
yeah.
Well, that and finding time to tweet during
Tweeting as well. Yeah.
like I don't know when you'd find the time for that.
Yeah.
Like I barely use social media. I feel
Mm.
well. I know barely. I certainly don't find time to get into random Twitter beefs or
Random beefs with
yeah,
people. Yeah.
yeah. Um,
Yeah, Twitter's I think you gotta be kind of you gotta be paying a different kind of attention to like actually get sucked into
mm,
arguments or discussions or things like that.
mm,
And most of the time it is like a huge
mm.
waste of time.
Are you shying away from Twitter? You didn't plug your Twitter on the previous episode, so I'm wondering if you had a change of heart with it.
No, I still use it,
Still
but
use it?
I don't feel like there's much I don't know if there's a huge amount of engagement there. Well, a lot of people have quit recently
Mm,
for random political reasons or
right.
whatever. But I just feel like it's such a like rubbish platform for trying to actually engage people. Really, I mean, it's just so transient and
Mm,
can't really sustain anything. I mean, you can plug things or post
yeah.
links, but it's not really. It's quite an awkward platform for actual promotion.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where's better. Like
I think I really don't want to get on any more microblogging thing like Twitter kind of
right.
clone. Like I'm on the other one, Blue Sky, but
Mm,
it's just even worse. I mean,
even
it's
worse.
just pointless.
Yeah.
Like just pointless echo chamber of nothing really.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Threads is hot garbage as well.
Seems yeah.
It's
I haven't
just
even
it's
taken a
the
look at it.
most baity.
It's yeah.
Like I think Meta or Facebook or whatever is still struggling to get the ball rolling with it. So like
Mm.
they have all these, they'll like in Instagram, you'll get notifications from
Oh, they
threads.
never shut up about it.
they
Yeah,
never
it's
shut
like
up.
every
Yeah.
single day.
Picked
It's like
for you, right?
it's like your friends are waiting on thread. I'm like,
Yeah.
come on, like just it's reminding on both Facebook
yeah.
and Instagram. It's
Right.
reminding like every single day. I'm
Yeah.
like, what?
And then when
Yeah.
you create your account on Threads,
Yeah.
you start getting notifications in Instagram, presumably Facebook as well, where it's like, oh, you know, we picked this Threads post for you, and it's just some like girl baiting, like, oh, are my tits too big?
Yeah,
right? Or like some equally trivial baity
I don't
rage
wanna,
bait, or like
I definitely don't want to put more time into any of these microblog things, which are you know a means, I guess, like a means of getting people to engage with stuff. But putting, I mean, just having even one seems like having one Twitter seems like enough without needing like 6 or something, you know, or 7 or however many.
Randomly just remember this. So do you know Bored Ape Yacht Club? It's an NFT.
Yeah.
So it's like it's the profile picture of the monkeys with the grills and the you know, like random accessories.
Yeah.
And those NFTs were at their peak, going for like tens of millions of dollars. And so they tried to, I believe this was like 2 years ago, but they like launched a dating app for people who own like one of those NFTs, one of those monkey JPEGs. And I think they like shut it down because they discovered it was like 95% dudes.
Sure, right?
Obviously,
I mean,
right?
Like how many women would like own something like that?
Yeah. So just funny intersection between crypto and Tinder and disastrous on social media.
So have those like almost completely devalued, or are they just
Nah,
like,
they're still worth millions.
So millions, okay,
or hundreds of thousands at the very least. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of they're kind of just grandfathered in, I think, as kind of like almost culturally significant items at this point. So they're way down from their peak, but they're still like, you know, it's still property on, you know, Malibu or something, right? Like it just will always kind of have that prestige, I think. Even for the novelty, presumably at some point, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of entirely just novelty, right? I mean, like,
yeah, I mean, like I could picture like I'm picturing like, I don't know, let's say, you know, the year's 2050, and like they'll probably still be around, but you might be able to buy one for like 10 grand, just like as a joke, basically, like, remember this, like
it's like a Beanie Baby or something.
Yeah.
I guess one of these like nostalgia kind of things. Yeah,
but it'll still probably be like 10 grand, right?
Quite expensive.
I think so. Yeah. NFT bubble definitely kind of burst, but
it might be a good time to start buying NFTs, right? Start buying NFTs. Yeah.
It's
fight against the grain, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, don't want to turn into another crypto episode, but it's just another one of these situations where the technology is cool, but the application kind of is very speculative and memey and kind of useless at this point. But
there were people that were talking about doing, there's a few people that tried to do NFT books,
right,
where there's just like one copy of the book.
Yeah.
Like, so there were a few people that were like, and you know, kind of art projects and stuff too.
Did they get it off the ground?
Yeah, there's a few people that, you know, got some traction with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still kind of mostly just like a stunt idea, but I mean, I think there are things you could do with something like that. Like, you could do some kind of interesting art project or something, but
you could, yeah. I mean,
I think a Bored Ape dating app is pretty far from that.
It's pretty far from that,
yeah.
Man, yeah, I mean, the art world is just such its own thing. I mean, I was talking a while back to our friend who does shibari art, right? Like the rope, Japanese kind of.
I was just having Thanksgiving with him yesterday.
Yeah,
he was out and we were talking about.
But he's
about stuff.
Put some, I mean, he's quite serious into it, and he's done some cool sort of digital media
Mm,
with it,
mm,
right?
mm,
Like he
mm.
had the golden girl and silver girl as well, but
Yeah.
basically he had these models suspended in
Mm,
shibari, like tied up and
mm.
hanging in a pose, um, painted like metallic gold and metallic silver,
Yeah.
just completely head to toe, like completely.
You're just trying to sell them as NFTs, or
Well, so I believe he did launch like an art business,
yeah.
trying to sell prints of it.
Mm,
And I was talking to him. I was like, like I can help you sell this as an NFT
mm,
as
mm,
well."
mm.
But he was understandably very hesitant because he's just like, it's hard enough to sell
Yeah.
like physical media.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it didn't really go anywhere. But
I think if you had access to like people that would be interested in people that would be inclined to be interested in NFTs, then
yeah.
you could probably get like a good price or something. But
Yeah, I mean during the when was it, 2022 or
mm,
whatever, like
mm, mm.
whenever Bored Apes and
Yeah.
were taking off, like there's a period of time where you could just be a random artist
Mm, mm,
and get a few $100
mm, mm,
for,
mm.
um
Yeah.
some work of art you've done.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sort of the general economy around that has cooled, so I think it's a lot harder to launch something like that unless you're already very
Mm,
established.
mm, mm.
Yeah. But anyway. Um yeah, don't know. What have you been up
I was
to?
thinking about yeah, I guess we were thinking about where these options of meeting people is going to go
Hmm.
in the future, and it does seem like it's going to get more and more sort of funneled into pretty limited channels,
Think it's
like
online.
well, yeah, apps and Tinder
Yeah.
and other channels which are pretty rubbish, I guess, or pretty
Is Tinder like I guess I wonder what it's so in Japan, and
mm,
it's been a few years since I've
mm.
used Tinder, but it's a lot of photos of girls' hair and
I probably haven't looked at it for a couple of years too, and
photos of foods.
it was very strange. I mean, yeah, it was
Yeah.
just almost like borderline unusable,
Yeah, I mean you
like
take like Japanese shyness
reticence
culture,
and shyness.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and you cross it with a high volume, low signal to noise ratio
Mm.
dating app,
Yeah, yeah,
and it's
yeah.
just
It's a
complete.
recipe
Yeah,
for. It's not culturally. It doesn't really mesh that well, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
So, but people are using it apparently. I
they're
mean,
using it. Yeah.
but I have no idea how or
Mm,
why
mm,
or
mm.
yeah. Um,
I think I do know. I do know quite a few people that I don't know about now, but at least back in the day, they used like okay. Oh, I was gonna say OK Computer, like the
right.
Radiohead album.
Okay.
That'd be a cool way to meet people if you're both into that album. But
Yeah. Whatever happened to meeting people at the record
the
shop?
record shop,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, was it OK Cupid? Like I know I do know a few people that are like married and have
Right.
kids with people they met through that, and I think they did take it quite seriously, where they like wrote up a really detailed profile and like
Mm,
targeted it for I don't know, someone they were likely to get along with or
right.
something. But yeah, so I guess at some point it was like maybe sort of
Yeah.
doable. I don't know about the moment, but
Yeah, I mean, some of these apps, I like OkCupid and Christian Mingle or whatever, like
Christian Mingle.
it's still around, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Well, those are like weird people that like there's presumably no other, like, unless it's like someone in their, like, if they're in like some super niche community, like
right.
I don't know, like Mormons, like, okay, yeah, then your options are probably,
Mm,
you have to like hyper niche target for people that have the exact same values as you
mm,
and the exact same religion, or like the
mm,
exact, like, okay, yeah, I mean I think that's something where, yeah, maybe
yeah.
it would sort of help them,
Hmm.
because how, yeah, otherwise, like, and if it's, unless it's their like real life church, like
Right.
Where would they like ever meet someone that has the
Yeah.
exact same niche values or
Yeah.
take or whatever? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Um.
Well, it's sort of like that. I mean, yeah, like there's most people like if they put like if you see someone on some online app or something and they're like, into like I don't know, yeah, Christianity, like you're just gonna immediately be like, nope, right? Like you just don't, because like who wants to fuck with that, right?
Well, if you're a
Like,
Christian, I suppose.
yeah, but it is a
yeah,
pretty
hence Christian mingle.
yeah, well, because I mean, like it's like a niche strategy,
Right.
where like okay, like if it's like being into like I don't know foot fetishism or something like really hardcore where that's like all you care about,
Right.
like it's not even like something that could happen. It's just like it always has to be there. It always has to be the same. Like okay,
Right.
like you're hard disqualifying probably a vast amount of people,
except for the ones
except for like yeah, so like it's so niche that like it almost needs its own thing just for that,
just to be accepted.
Yeah, it needs something where it has to like just start from there.
Yeah,
because like if it's that important, like that's sort of what I feel like
that's
sort of what like Christianity is in that sense, because it's like most people are just gonna be like, yeah, you're Mormon, you take it seriously, it's not gonna happen, right? But or yeah, like I don't know, some weird rope fetishism or something that like has to be okay. Then like you're probably gonna require a very specific app or program or something to deal with that. But,
this reminds me of when I was living in Shanghai. I don't know if this is still common practice, but this was still around then, where basically in the park on weekends you'd have like
a marriage market or something.
People
I've seen
do
videos of this.
It's like they'd set up an umbrella. Basically they'd open an umbrella and like lay it on the ground with the canopy like facing outwards, and they would like tape their kids' resume on it, where they're basically
like their education history and stuff,
education,
like
employment,
salary and stuff.
But so it wouldn't be the kid themselves, right?
It'd be like parents doing it for them.
Kind of funny. Do you think that's better or worse than Tinder?
Man, such a strange,
because it's also
concept.
strange.
Yeah,
right?
it's also very strange.
Like
but,
it's also like arranged marriage, where like okay, I guess on paper we're a good match, but like I feel
arranged marriages tend to like be stable in practice. I mean, more than a lot of the alternatives, but I don't know what. But it does kind of presume you already have those values. Right. Like if you already have those values, then okay, yeah, it's probably gonna kind of work out. But I might take some of that water too. Thanks.
Yeah, let's do a quick hydration.
Yeah.
I guess with arranged marriages, you're just prioritizing for something completely different, right? It's just strictly like, I don't know,
cultural stability or something.
Cultural stability, communal stability. Yeah. Wouldn't necessarily want that either, but I don't know. Maybe my mom could run my Tinder account.
We know we do have a few friends where they've been in that situation
where they could have gotten.
Yeah, well, there's one friend we have from Pakistani background.
Yeah.
And, his parents were like showing him some candidates who kind of seemed more appealing than just like women he was dating at the time through his own efforts. I mean, it kind of became a bit of a joke because we were always like just saying like, you should just listen to your parents actually, because they kind of does seem like in some ways better, but whether it would have actually been that way in real life, like possibly not. But it's just funny that just to think of it that way, where it's like, hey, this might actually be a good deal, like, an easy deal or something, versus having to hustle for yourself or try to work things out. It's probably pretty time consuming, and people might not be on the same page or have the same values or things like that. So I guess there is something to be said for tradition in that sense. Yeah. Like you're not having to, put in maybe a huge amount of effort. Yeah. versus just letting things, function as they maybe would.
Yeah, I mean, beyond arranged marriages, it feels like I'm curious if you would agree, but dating for like marriage or serious relationships,
Yeah.
like starting a family or whatever, dating for that purpose versus dating for romance, I guess, is a completely different ball game, right?
Yeah. Well, they still have like Omiai systems here.
What's Omiai?
It's like arranging marriages,
Just
right?
is it like through a
So
matchmaker
yeah,
service?
yeah. And
Yeah, so typical Japanese
and
bureaucracy.
my elderly man friend who I was drinking with today, his daughter actually met her husband through one of them. And oh, thanks. Yeah, is this okay?
Just a mint here.
Just mints. Yeah. Yeah. No. So his both he and his daughter. He's like 76 and his daughter's like, I don't know, 40 or something.
Right.
But both he and his daughter, like he met his wife through this Omiai matchmaking, and his daughter met her husband.
Did it work out?
Mixed results.
Mixed
I mean, they have
results.
a really nice kid, but the husband's like one of these absentee Japanese,
Right.
like, so they're not divorced, but functionally he's just like off the map.
Just
Like
a
he's
paycheck, basically.
Yeah, like he never, like I guess he's
Never home.
never home. Like, I don't know, he sleeps with the company or something. It's one of these like bizarre situations that occurs in Japan, but would seem implausible in like any other country. Because like other countries, people just be like, oh, just get a divorce, right?
Yeah,
But
the relationships are weird here, man. I mean, I was kind of telling you about this guy I met at the track. And I was, so he's in his late 40s or even 50s. And we're in the same track session, basically. He's trying to ride quickly on a racetrack, right? And I was kind of like asking him, like, is your family okay with you doing this? And he's like, oh, I don't think they really know or really care.
Keep it under wraps.
Well, it didn't sound like he was like hiding it from them, but it was just like, I don't know. I guess they don't communicate about that.
Yeah.
He's like telling me about another time where like he crashed not at the racetrack, I think. I think he crashed on the road. No. Might have been at the track. I don't know. Anyway, he crashed and he like called his wife and he's like, can you come pick me up? She's like, no. So I don't know, it just feels really strange, right? Like what is this relationship, right?
It's weird. Well, I mean, a lot of it is just like, it's like literally like just another job or something. Like that's especially, I mean, like I would imagine especially people that would do Omiai type matchmaking, because otherwise why would you, like, okay, maybe you want a family, but like you in this day and age, I mean sure, like, okay, like in practice a lot of people are not able to find their own partner for themselves, but I mean it's still a very strange idea, to at least I guess to a lot of people's sensibilities, that going for a
how does this Omiai work?
Well, so yeah, I mean, you put together
like an application package.
You put together an application. So like much like going for a job, you got to build up you got to have a professional photo and your complete, education, employment history, like your salary and your background, and probably got to get some kind of background checks, so they know that you're not from like some, I don't know, criminal family or something. Right. I don't know, some you got to have some background information, so they know what they're getting, and then they'll throw out some candidates who seem like they might be a good match for you, and then you have kind of a group meeting with them, and got to kind of audition each other in front of each other's families and see if it seems like a match or not.
Yeah, I mean, Japanese bureaucracy meets arranged marriage, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. But I mean, it's probably closer to what people did for most of history than current understanding. I guess it's probably closer to that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you're doing that, then yeah, I mean, I guess you're just looking for the family structure,
Yeah. Well,
perhaps,
yeah, it's
without
exactly
necessarily
right.
the family involvement,
Yeah.
I guess.
But I do think in practice, much like my friend's daughter, like it leads to these bizarre situations where like that little kid kind of doesn't have a dad.
Right.
I mean, he does, but he's he's an absentee father to the
Mm.
point where like
Are,
like it just like
are
his mom's got to do everything. His
right,
mom's got to raise the kid, take him
right.
everywhere. Worry about
Does
his.
she resent him for not being there, or is that what she signed up for as
I
well?
don't even know how to answer that question. I
Mm.
mean, she's obviously not going for a divorce, so
Mm.
I mean, I guess she's getting money from him. So
Mm.
I don't even know what her expectations
Mm.
would be.
I mean, I guess if it's plus one human being born in Japan, it's ultimately a win
It's
for
a plus
society at
one.
this
I mean,
point.
yeah, I mean, it's the kid is about almost, I don't know, like 10 or something now. And
Right.
I mean, I've known this family for a long time, so I remember when he was just a baby. But
Mm.
so I mean, it's a person,
Right.
but does he have a father figure? Not really. I mean, I guess that my friend, the old man, the
Mm.
grandpa, like his grandpa, I guess is kind of his
Just yeah.
quasi father figure,
Yeah.
but
Well, it's okay.
kind of
The Japanese education system will shave off any
shave off the
corners
edges
and
anyway.
create
Yeah,
a nice
yeah,
little
yeah, yeah.
Japanese otomachik.
Unit anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Apparatchik.
apparatchik.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it does. I mean, just viewing this, it does seem like like he's in. They're quite like they're in a pretty good income bracket. So the kid's not really like missing anything. And,
Mm.
he's getting a lot of experiences. His mom takes him everywhere and
Mm.
takes him to theme parks, takes him to cultural events and stuff. So
Mm.
he's getting a pretty broad swath of experiences, but it's still like you definitely get a sense that like something's kind of actually missing because there's
It's kind
no
of Japanese society in a nutshell, right? Like,
it seems, yeah, like everything's there on paper, but
yeah.
it's like, oh wait, you don't really have a dad. Okay,
Mm.
well, yeah, I mean
Yeah.
a lot of people, fair enough, like a lot of people don't,
Mm.
but in that particular situation where they're like not even divorced and
Mm.
it's like, well, he on paper, yeah, he should be here,
Right.
but he's not.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What he's even doing? I mean, probably playing MMORPGs or something. I don't even know what the
Grinding Diablo
grinding on
4.
Diablo
Yeah.
4. Like, what does this dude even do?
Yeah.
Like, it's
It's a
impossible
good
to say. I
question.
mean, yeah. So
Sleeping somewhere, but
somewhere, yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of weird situations like that here
Mm.
where things quasi work, but
Yeah.
doesn't seem like it. Seems like something's
Mm.
quite broken in the process, I guess, or
Mm.
maybe not really.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I mean, I don't want to blow different situation,
Mm,
but I'm friendly with one of the neighbors in my building here,
mm.
and he like uh basically we got chatting about my motorcycle and stuff, and
Mm.
he kind of was the one who turned me on to going to the track to
Oh,
begin with.
right, yeah.
Um, but basically he has like a secret car that he keeps
Secret
hidden
car.
from his family, and he like told me about it, but he's like, don't tell my wife, don't tell my kids.
Was he just keeps in a garage somewhere, or like
Yeah,
what?
yeah. I mean, you
what-
can like rent like an off-site, well, it's like a
Yeah,
storage container basically,
yeah.
right? And you park your car or motorcycle
Mm.
there. Apparently, he has one of those, and he like goes to the track or did go to the track with it.
Mm.
But again, I don't know. I'm wondering if this is a Japanese thing or if this is a kind of universal married man thing where you
Yeah.
start. Yeah, I mean, I think kind of in North American motorcycle culture, there's kind of that joke of like hiding motorcycles from your wife as
Really?
well. Yeah.
It just seems weird. I mean, having to live like, I guess having to live too much of a secret life gets a bit gets a bit strange or gets in these like weird areas where
Yeah.
it's
Well,
like, yeah,
it's like that thing, that's saying, like, men marry women thinking they won't
yeah,
change,
and the reverse is vice versa,
yeah,
right?
women
Where
marry men
I
thinking
think
they
they
will
will, and
change,
then yeah, they
right?
don't, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Um, yeah, it's yeah, like, I don't know. I wonder how much of a fantasy it is to have a relationship where you just are accepted as you are without any.
without having to keep the
Yeah.
motorcycle in the garage or something.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, beyond the motorcycle, just in general, I
just in
guess,
general,
like,
yeah,
without pressure to, I don't know, like,
yeah.
that,
There's
yeah.
stuff coming out recently this past week about the writer Cormac
Oh,
McCarthy.
yeah, yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Oh, did you see this? Yeah,
Well, I heard about it. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, go on.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's just it's sort of getting that same thing where I think it sounds very similar to the Japanese dude where he like I think he had like some wife and kid when he was in his like mid-30s or something, and he just like kind of ghosted them, and
Mm.
they're having to like brush their teeth in the lake or like
Oh, so he just completely
I mean
pieced
he
out.
wasn't, I mean he didn't really have like any employment, right? I mean he was just writing books that weren't
Mm.
really selling
Right.
for like I don't know 30 years or something.
Right.
I mean, it eventually caught on when he was like 50 or something. But I mean,
Mm.
by that time, kids
Mm.
are growing up, and he's not really, doesn't sound like he was really doing much of anything to care for his children. I mean, that's the thing that struck me. I mean, there's the whole thing where he like ran off with some teenager.
Mm. Yeah.
But I mean, to me, that's just like whatever. But
Mm.
to me, it's more like, well, he wasn't really caring for his children. I mean, that seems like, to
Yeah.
me, that seems more striking than like, oh, he's
Right.
having a relationship with a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
Well, okay, like,
Yeah.
so what?
Yeah.
But I mean, ignoring your children, I mean, it's a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit, that seems a bit of a, and tellingly, no one seems to care about that.
Right.
They're just
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
he had a relationship with someone who was almost
Yeah.
18.
Well,
It's like, okay,
I didn't know
like,
that he was like an absently father. I just
seems
I
like he
heard
was,
the like.
seems like he was basically a, I mean, I think his wives, I think he had a few wives and kids who eventually just took off because they're like, look, like,
Mm.
you need to find some way to like physically feed these
Right.
kids because Cormac is not really doing too much, right?
Yeah.
So, so that's the thing that more struck me, I guess, looking at his life.
Mhm.
And I mean, I don't really have much dog in the game. I mean, like, I don't take him very seriously as a writer. I just think he's like an imitation Faulkner,
Mm.
who is a vastly superior
What did
writer.
Faulkner write?
Sound and the Fury,
Heard of
As
it.
I Lay Dying.
Yeah, I heard of that.
Was Sanctuary.
Mm.
A lot of really very strange and difficult books. He's kind of a dick too. I mean, he was Faulkner was the one where it was, I think it was like his daughter's birthday or something, and his daughter wanted him to come out and celebrate it with her without being completely wasted, on alcohol, and
No can do.
so yeah, so she goes into his study, and she's like, oh, like, Dad, can you maybe not drink as much tomorrow because it's my birthday?
Mm.
Faulkner just turns around, he looks at her and goes, no one remembers Shakespeare's children. So he just completely invalidates her whole existence, and then gets back to his whiskey and typing away there.
Back to business.
Yeah, back to business, right?
Man, it's brutal.
Just shut down, right?
I don't understand how you have kids and then say that to them, though. I guess
I think it was a different time. I mean, I think like it was just, I think like the idea of having kids being a choice is a very recent phenomenon where, like, I think it was almost like doing, like 100 years ago is almost like doing something almost like criminally weird if you like didn't have kids. It was certainly much stranger than, like, I think most people, like, they didn't give too much thought to, like, is this something I really want to do? They're just like, okay, yeah, whatever, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Just get married,
no matter,
and
yeah,
just have kids.
I don't think they put terribly.
Don't think much past that.
Yeah, I mean, they're just. I don't think they're putting individual consideration as much as we maybe like would now. Like, oh, is this gonna fuck up this human if I like literally don't care about them at all or like don't pay any attention to them? Or
but it's a good question. I mean, what's better, that or Japan and Korea, where people just aren't having kids?
They're just not having them at all. Yeah.
Which, like, it is a big burden.
Social problem in a way. Yeah, well, there's that argument to be made.
Maybe it is just kind of just chaos.
Just chaos.
Agent of chaos.
Just might as well
create a human
and let it fend for itself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
let them figure it out.
Just let them figure it out. Yeah.
Which
present them. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Maybe everyone goes through that one way or another.
I think everyone goes through it in some sense, but yeah, I don't know about this McCarthy thing. I mean, I don't know what his children think of him or thought of him. I mean, they probably got a lot of money coming to them now from his estate.
Yeah. Are they written into it?
If they're written into it, I don't really know. But
I don't know what the situation was with Steve Jobs, but apparently he also had like a family he neglected,
just ignored or something. Yeah.
He paid the absolute minimum in
like child support.
Yeah, and child support. Basically, like even when he was like a multi-millionaire.
Yeah.
He like still just
wasn't interested. Yeah. That's a little bit weird. I mean, if you're in a position where you can obviously take care of people, and it's like, what? I mean, how much time would it really have taken out of his schedule? I guess at that point, where you're like a millionaire or something.
I don't know the exact details, but just recalling from memory, I think there was a factor of it being some like quasi mentally unstable lady he knocked up when he was young.
Okay, yeah. So he just totally felt completely disconnected, or wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know.
Really,
I don't know.
Yeah,
but yeah. Hey, I mean, if you're able to pop out humans guilt-free, and I don't know, I guess more power to
something
you.
will happen to them. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll find their way eventually. Yeah,
yeah. Just can't really get myself there mentally, personally.
How are we doing for time here?
Let's see. Just a few more minutes here. 57.
Let me wrap this. Yeah,
wrap this up.
Wrap it up in a little bit. We could push it over the.
Yeah, well, let's get it over the finish
line. Get over
line.
the edge for marketing. How's the analytics recently? Like, what's
listen, man, I didn't check.
Is anything popping off, or is any of these videos taking flight?
Are you checking now?
I was just checking now. Yeah, it seems like the last few ones, nothing too. Neoliberal multiverse was the big.
Yeah, I mean, you promoted that one pretty heavily, I think, right?
Well, I mean, I've been posting the more recent ones in the same places. And I would say I've like not been prompting them. Someone did watch that and they commented favorably over. It's the the London Neo-Decadent Cafe.
Oh yeah.
Eric said he enjoyed the neoliberal. He just messaged me yesterday. Actually,
nice.
It's like a new one.
Oh, nice.
He's enjoying it. So hopefully, I think that one got through to some people.
That's good. Yeah.
Let's see if some of the other ones take off. Maybe. There's still people.
Such a weird time in the world. Yeah, I keep remembering, is it the Lenin quote or the Stalin quote, where it's like in some decades, like years happen, in some years,
decades happen. Yeah. So certainly, there's some things which change unbelievably quickly. Well, kind of like we were talking about with the app, meeting people through apps. I mean, that's something that probably normalized and then flipped the script within
a decade.
Not even really that. I want to say like less, 5 years or something. Because really, like, even like OkCupid kind of stuff was like on the edge for a while. But then like once those like Tinder kind of apps and stuff, I mean, that like, I feel like those flipped the script in like not even really 5 years, like maybe 5 years or so. But
Well, I guess it's just this could just all be an extension of the domination smartphones have in our
yeah,
lives,
but it's
right?
such a it was like
Because once you didn't have to go to the
yeah, I mean, you
library
didn't have to go to the
to
library
log in
to log
and
into your profile
yeah,
and manually
right.
update it and do all that stuff.
Once it was just flashcards of human faces on your phone that you swipe left or
Yeah,
right on.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
But I think it is creating. I mean, one thing we maybe didn't really talk about much here is just like the level of, I guess, like disenfranchisement it's
Mm.
creating,
Oh,
where
yeah, yeah.
people
It's
are like
terrible.
getting in these like weird. Well, you mentioned
Yeah.
like looks maxing
Yeah,
before we
yeah, yeah.
logged on, and there's just other people getting like weird side quest things which
Well, you
don't
get
even have like anything. I don't know. Yeah, it's just
you just get a completely distorted
yeah,
view of the dating landscape
yeah,
through
yeah.
it, right? Where I mean, I think one of the fundamental factors is like Tinder is like 60% male, 40%
Well,
female,
yeah. So
and that alone
you should
is a
yeah, and
huge like
yeah,
demographic shattering
yeah,
like statistic,
yeah.
right? Um,
So yeah, it's creating these like weird funnel reality. Well, it's create like
yeah,
reality tunnels that
right.
are quite I guess inaccurate in some
Mhm.
ways, or maybe creating other levels of disenfranchisement and
Which, yeah, I mean, then you like going deeper into the disenfranchisement thing, and maybe this is a separate discussion. But yeah, you get like who's the guy? Elliot Rogers, right?
yeah.
The California
I mean,
guy,
he was a
right?
while ago now too. I mean,
Yeah, it's
that was
pretty
what,
old
like
now.
5 or 10 years ago or something. It was
Well,
at
yeah, I
least
mean,
like
what was that? Like 2000 and it was pre-Trump, I believe,
it was
right?
pre-COVID. It was
It was
pre
yeah, it was
I think
I
it
think it was
was like
pre-Trump, yeah.
2014 or 15 or
14 or
something.
15,
It's
yeah.
probably I mean
Yeah.
I think he was kind of like a pioneer maybe, or he was certainly on
Right.
the edge of stuff which
Yeah.
at the time seemed really ridiculous. I mean, like
Right.
people were I remember we were reading his manifesto at the time, and we're like,
Mm.
just reads like satire. It's like,
Mm.
you're worried about your jawline,
Yeah,
or you're
yeah, yeah.
worried about your.
Right.
I mean, he's rich, right? Like his
Yeah.
family was rich,
Yeah.
and the things that he was writing about and worrying about just seemed completely absurd at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
But I mean, it obviously struck a chord with people, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Um yeah, I mean, this is just another one of those things where I think these companies don't take their impact
it's like
seriously,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, it's in the same way that TikTok and Instagram just
Yeah.
nukes the human attention span.
Yeah,
In the same way, like Tinder, Bumble, whatever,
yeah.
are just gonna be responsible for, I don't know,
Creating strange effects in
yeah,
people's lives. Yeah,
yeah, on
yeah,
something quite like primal as
yeah,
well, I guess, right?
yeah.
Like, so yeah, I mean, it could be very well, it
Yeah,
is very
it is quite
destabilizing, yeah.
destabilizing. Yeah, yeah,
And the
yeah,
effects will be studied
yeah.
2 decades from now. I don't
Mm.
know. We'll see.
Can
We'll
maybe
see.
pick that up next.
Yeah, let's
Next
pick that up.
time we'll finish up.
Yeah, DBLV on Instagram.
And Justin Isis 93 on Instagram and Justin Isis 1 on Twitter. I can't even remember the Twitter
I
one.
think so. I think it's
I
just
gotta,
nicest one.
Let me log it up here and see.
I'm almost positive it is. I
It's
can
just,
picture it.
Yeah. Let me see here. Yeah, it is Justin Isis 1 on Twitter.
Great. Well, yeah, get off the apps.
Off the apps, yeah.
Bother some people
Yeah.
at your local Starbucks, I guess. And now.
All right.
Yeah.
Peace.
Have a good week. Later.